I'm about to show you a 3-question structure you can use to make sure your personal statement is as structured as possible, taking it from a boring and simple personal statement to one that really stands out and can sell you as a candidate regardless of what university or course you're applying to. But before we get into that, I want to imagine you're about to go out and buy a car. Let's imagine you go to a car salesman and they show you the car and they tell you, it's a decent car, it gets you to point A to point B, it works, etc. Now let's imagine you go to a different car salesman and they show you the ins and outs of the car, they tell you all the pros of it, they kind of really sell it to you and they make an active effort to make you buy it. Which car are you more likely to buy? Obviously the second car, it's not a trick question. The personal statement is the same. If you don't put enough effort into it, if you don't really try and sell yourself and convince the admission tutor that you are an ideal candidate, they're just going to overlook it and go to the person who has put in the effort. So please, this is just to tell you, don't ignore the personal statement. It's super important and it's what you need to make you stand out amongst the crowd. Now the first question you want to ask yourself is simply, what have you done or what have you seen that you want to talk about? This can be as simple as maybe something you do in your spare time, or it can be a part-time job, or even a bit of work experience that you've taken part in. You can't reflect or talk about something in your personal statement unless you've made it clear to the reader what you're talking about. So this is the first thing you want to ask yourself. Now question number 2 is simply, what skills or qualities have you seen from the above experience? So this is where you really want to get into the details. If the first question is counted as description, this is your reflection, or at least the start of it. So this is where you want to put in a lot of effort. This is what's going to show the reader that you've actually taken a step back and reviewed what you've seen and what you've experienced. Most experience that you see can be broken down into its bare skills. Very few things that you'll observe will have completely unique skills. There will always be a certain skill that you can pick out from the crowd to really hone in on. For example, I'm a medical student and when I wrote my personal statement, I talked about skills such as empathy and teamwork and leadership. And the important thing to know is you don't have to be a doctor to show these skills. You don't have to be working in medicine to have those skills. So the point is that there are so many generic skills out there. It's a common mistake to kind of get caught up with the actual experience and think that that's the most important thing, but to show them that you've learned something is where you really start to stand out. Point of this is to show them that you've identified skills that you've seen and also linking it back to your course and why these skills are important. So for example, empathy is important in a doctor because if a doctor wasn't able to understand their patients, then it's very hard to give good patient treatment and care, and you need a doctor to be active, alert and paying attention. You can't just have them like laying back in their seat and doing nothing. Now question number 3 is, how have you as a candidate shown that you have the skills that you've mentioned? After highlighting the skills you've seen and mentioning why they're important for your course that you're applying to, you need to show the admissions tutor that you now have those skills. It's a very simple equation. Here's what I saw, here's the skills that I've seen from that experience, here is why these skills are important for this degree, and now here is why I have these skills. Therefore, I am someone who is good for this degree. It's basically outlining to the tutor that you have the skills you need and that you're an ideal candidate. A lot of people make the mistake of simply, naming the skills, but not really telling them how you have those skills. So for example, if you've observed teamwork in a certain scenario and you've identified that teamwork is important, talk about how you have been a good team member, how you have shown good teamwork skills, because indirectly what you're doing is you're showing them that you have the necessary skills for this degree. Now, you don't have to lay out every paragraph in this 3-question structure, but it's a very good place to start when you're thinking about talking about your experiences. Not having a good structure is probably the worst thing you can do for your personal statement, and having good structure is something that's kind of ingrained into us from very early on, whether it's from our GCSEs, A levels, whatever. You're always told to have a good structure so that what you're writing is easy to read, and it's no different to the personal statement. Now, as you get more practice writing your personal statement, you'll become accustomed to the skills needed to write one, and so you can deviate a bit off script from the 3 questions and still have a decent structure. You don't necessarily have to lay out in this order. You can kind of muddle it up and kind of change it about and kind of add your own unique twist to it. Now, to get an idea of what that might look like, I highly recommend you check this video out. Here you can get an idea of what a complete personal statement looks like and hopefully get an idea of the end goal. Best of luck with your personal statement. I'm sure you will be fine.